Hello there everyone, Ash and Flash here, and welcome on into a very crazy video. It really melts my brain, the stuff that we're going to talk about here. Over the last 2 weeks, there has been people using this tool that's on Bricklink that allows you to compare the parts inventory for different sets. And I don't know who started this or who figured this out, but you're able to actually punch in canceled set numbers, some that didn't ever get released. And specifically, I think the one that went around first was the parts list for the Temple of Doom 77014. And we've done videos talking about this before, about how and why this was canceled. We now have all the parts to actually create this, minus all of the printed elements and different things like that. We don't have that in the inventory. They're blanked out, but you can see what colors they were going to be for everything. And then people started to put in more set numbers, stuff that we knew about, a lot of stuff we didn't know about, including canceled sub-themes and other things that we're going to talk about here in this video. That is really crazy. I'm going to break some news as well, show some crazy things here that you're never going to believe. So if you want, there are time codes and chapters down below if you want to hop around. I want to start and end the video off with crazy things that not a lot of people have talked about. First thing here is the fact that there was going to be an adventures theme back in 2005, a continuation of that. The Orient Expedition theme was what got me into Lego. Like, that was the first theme that I fully collected and everything. Johnny Thunder was one of the first sets that I ever got, and to see the sets here that were sort of Egypt based, it seems, is very, very sad. And I really wish that we could have seen what these were going to look like. And there seems to be a second wave that was going to be dinosaur themed, supposedly that turned into Dino Attack. And I just, back in 2005, I would have loved to get more Johnny Thunder stuff. And I know that a lot of people are going to be saying, well, you've got the parts, why don't you try and make them? And that's what I want to talk about next, is Brickheadz, because I tried to recreate them because I've built hundreds of Brickheadz at this point, and I feel like I have a good sense of where parts should go to build this. So there was 2 canceled Animal Crossing ones, and I tried my best to recreate them, and this is what I got. I cannot figure out Tom Nook properly with the face and all that, as well as Isabelle is just so complicated. And if we can't figure out like smaller sets like this, if we don't have an idea in our mind about like what these sets were gonna look like, I can't imagine figuring that out. There was also gonna be a llama one for video. But continuing on with video games, talking about Lego Dimensions. Now this has gone around a lot. It was just the 10-year anniversary, and there's a lot of hype around this one pack, which is 71280. This was going to be the Lord Vortek pack, and the idea behind this was that he was supposed to unlock all the different worlds. It was going to be the last figure that was released, and his toy tag would have let you visit the different worlds even if you didn't have the character from that. So that was really cool. Would have been an amazing thing from Lego to release. And we can see here from the parts that we were going to have him be in dark blue, in that navy color instead of trans blue. And also his side build was going to be Expo. And we actually knew that from leaks from the actual game itself. Like, there's stuff that people have been finding inside of the code and all that, including voice dialogue and lines for his pack when he spawns in and different things. So would have been really, really cool to get, and it's sad that that didn't happen. There were a few other packs that myself and Just Do Good have talked about before when it comes to Dimensions, but we do see the parts list specifically for the Robin Teen Titans Go one. It looks to be some sort of a bike, I think. There was also the Holtzman canceled pack, and what's weird is that it's on the trans light blue stand, so this is clearly a mistake. And speaking of mistakes, we've actually seen what that face was going to look like. They put that out in some press kit or something when the Ghostbusters Ecto was revealed. But what we didn't know about here was that there was actually going to be a Harry Potter story level pack, and you can see from the parts list that this was going to be something that connected to the actual portal the ones that you replaced. There was the Fantastic Beasts one, there was the Ghostbusters one, and there was the Lego Batman movie one. There was some other rumored ones for like Minecraft, but Harry Potter here was going to have one, and you can see that the build would have been Hogwarts. You could see all the different tan colored pieces and everything here, and the sand green for the roofs. Now the tiles seem to be the same and the parts seem to be the same for Voldemort and Harry, so instead of it being a team pack, they were going to be included here. I don't know about the vehicles. Continuing with video games, we actually have some stuff here for Overwatch 2, and we have the parts list for these sets. Specifically, we knew 76978 was Orisa and Effie. There's 215 pieces here, and again, maybe you could figure this one out because you know sort of what Orisa looks like. We also have 76979. The Battle for Rio set has 355 pieces. I can't really tell who is going to be included in the set besides Lucio. I mean, there's some parts here like he was going to use the minifigure skate piece in lime green. And the last one was going to be the Talon dropship, and this looks like it was, I'm not sure who would have been included for this set. For Minecraft, there were two sets that specifically we knew were supposed to release and then didn't wind up happening. The first one being 21175. Some people have thought that because of the ball joints and different things here that this was going to be something from Minecraft Dungeons. I personally think that this was going to be a buildable character because of some of the other parts that are here. It just feels very similar to other stuff that they've done for that. Again, I'm not sure what this would have been, but the different flag pieces and everything, maybe it was going to be something from Dungeons. There's just no parts here available for like minifigures, so that's why I thought it was maybe a buildable character. There's another one which was 21258, and this seems to be some sort of nether portal build where they've got a little bit of the nether and then also the overworld, because I think that there was going to be villagers included here in this set, so I'm not too sure. And the final thing here is actually for Fortnite, and there was going to be a poly bag with a Jonesy variant, as well as 77074 was some sort of balloon. It only had 12 pieces. This looks like an unfinished set. Maybe it was a supply drop or something. I'm not sure. There's some other sets notoriously canceled for Ninjago, the Monastery of Ice. For City, the Crook's Hideout. There's some weird things here for Jurassic Park. There's this really small set for 66 pieces that came with Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm. For Star Wars, there's a few things, like there was 75287, the Bad Batch set for summer of 2020. There's 800 pieces in the set, and it looks to be, you can actually, again, compare the parts. It looks to be the Marauder here with a few differences, including that this was going to be more, I think, maybe even Clone Wars based, where they're fighting off against battle droids, as well as there's no Imperial crosshair. Looks like it was going to include his version before that, so that would have been really cool to get that outfit for him. But there's one really weird one, and it's 75260. This is rumored to be a Yoda versus Dooku battle. Releasing in 2019, has 236 pieces. The set's a little bit confusing. Like, I don't know who these hair pieces belong to, but there's 3 lightsaber hilts. I don't think Obi-Wan and Anakin were going to be here. It might have just been Anakin, given the green lightsaber. There's 2 of them. There's also lightning and the red lightsaber, but then you might have noticed there's some white parts here in Leia's hair. Here's the thing. 2019 was the 20-year anniversary for LEGO Star Wars, so this would have been where Leia was originally intended to release. You could see that there's even the blaster piece there for her. There's the arch pieces for the stand as well, and there's all the pieces for the stand here as well included. So this is where she was going to originally appear. I think that's really interesting. I would have loved to get this back in 2019. I'm sure people would have loved to get that for the 25-year anniversary as well. So hopefully, you know, seeing this here and people hearing about this, maybe it'll get LEGO to actually re-release and make a new version of that. Moving over to superheroes, there are 2 sets here that we'll talk about. There was 76221, the infamous Batmobile Flash tracking set, has 455 pieces. This was from the Flash film. Now, if you compare the parts list, it is a little bit different than the one that came with the Joker from Batman 89. What's interesting is that there's also hair pieces included here for Michael Keaton's older Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen. There was a set for last year that was canceled, 76306. This was some sort of Outrider set. It comes with Thor Okoye and 2 Outriders, 158 pieces. There's almost every single part here. So this was not really an exciting set in my opinion. I don't know if this was like his arrival or something, but there's even a windscreen piece here for some reason. I don't know what kind of vehicle the Outriders had or something. I'm not sure what that would have been. And here we go into the stuff that no one has talked about yet. There's a rumor from Just Too Good in one of the canceled video series on the channel, and I was going through that to plug in and find different set numbers, and I came across this rumor that there was supposed to be a Deadpool set in 2016, set number 76060. And I know that some people are going to say, well, wait a second, that was the Doctor Strange set number. But when you plug it into Bricklink for some reason, it actually shows a completely different set of parts than the Doctor Strange one. If you scroll through and look at this, there are so many pieces here that look to be creating some sort of vehicle. And then my eyes went towards the bottom in white and noticed 2 things here. I noticed the chef hat piece and the white widow's peak hair. The chef hat made me think, wait a second, if this was a Deadpool set, I wonder if this was going to be some sort of chimichanga truck where he would be wearing that. Maybe his torso is a little bit different than the one that came in 2012. He's got like an apron on or something. That's just my idea of what this would have been. Then I looked at the hairpiece with the widow's peak and I'm like, well, wait a second. There's not really any other parts here like pointing towards Magneto. There's no missing red pieces or anything like that. And then I looked at some of the parts here. I'm like, well, why is there a neck attachment piece? What's with the dark yellow pieces here and the dark blue? And I realized that those parts could create a gun, and maybe you could clip that onto the back of Cable. This, in my head here, when I look at this, you could see katanas, you could see the blasters, you can see the color scheme looks like a Deadpool vehicle if you look at what they did for the helicopter. And going off of Just Too Good's rumor, combining these 2 things, and also somebody pointed out, back in 2016, what did they do that summer for sets? They did Suicide Squad sets, but then they weren't actually tied to the film. They were just generic DC sets. So the idea is that for Deadpool, they were going to do a comic book set for 2016 with Deadpool and Cable, releasing it alongside of the film, but not having it tied directly to the movie. I think that this was actually canceled more due to the fact that this was during the era that Disney was blocking any and all merchandise that related to the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Also, just doing some research, I happened to see that there was a Chef Deadpool Funko Pop. And what year did that release? In 2016. You know what else released in 2016? A whole wave of X-Men Funkos. So kind of undoes what I just talked about when it comes to Disney blocking stuff. But if you look, who was included in that wave? None other than Cable. And that hair, that design, looks very much like if Lego were to use the Widow's Peak hairpiece. Also, maybe that neck attachment belongs to Archangel. Maybe the katana belongs to Psylocke. I don't know. The possibilities for this here are endless. There's a lot of missing pieces at the top. But anyways, this was really crazy. When I saw this, was like, man, I got to do a video about this and share what I discovered because it's just crazy. And I'm excited to see what people are going to discover now that I'm sharing this as well, because you never know what you might find. Like this Deadpool thing, that number belongs to Doctor Strange, so you never know. Who knows? This also might be patched by Lego, so make the best of it right now as it's still up. But anyways, be sure to subscribe, turn the bell notifications so you don't miss out on future Lego Marvel and other Star Wars, Minecraft, all the stuff that we talked about here in the video, news and reviews. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. Hope you all have a great day. We'll see you all in the next one.